There are new indications the DOJ probe into Representative Matt Gaetz is heating up. According to Politico, federal investigators now have possession of Gaetz's iPhone. They are also probing a 2018 trip the Congressman took to the Bahamas. MSNBC's chief legal correspondent Melber explains the significance of this development.
How serious is this federal sex trafficking probe involving Republican Congressman Matt Gaetz? Well, here's one big indicator. The feds have his iPhone. It's no small matter for the Justice Department to seize the phone of an elected member of a co-equal branch of government. Politico now reporting that's what they've done, and dating it all the way back to the winter with reports that the Trump-friendly congressman was telling people about it himself. Gaetz has denied all wrongdoing. Reports are that agents also seized the phone of one of his former girlfriends and are probing his 2018 trip to the Bahamas, which included a young woman who is, quote, key to the investigation, who was 18 at the time of that trip. Meanwhile, there may be new heat on Gaetz given indications that his indicted ally is cooperating with investigators and accusing Gaetz of offering, quote, cash or gifts in exchange for sex. We are joined now by Mark Caputo, senior reporter for Politico, who broke this very story about the feds getting Gaetz's cell phone, and Joan Walsh, a keen observer of politics, a friend of ours and national affairs correspondent for The Nation. Mark, what did you find in your reporting?
Well, what you said, we also had more details on the Bahamas trip, kind of who went along. There were two private planes, a commercial plane, Matt Gaetz apparently commercial, and there were at least 5 women who went along on the trip. One of the women who went on the trip spoke to, said there was no prostitution that happened. That's what investigators are investigating in relation to the Bahamas trip, from what we understand. And she also said that everyone was 18 or over. That has particular salience in the case of this teen who is the alleged victim of sex trafficking by Gaetz's ally and let's just probably say former friend, Joel Greenberg, the local Florida County tax collector, who was charged with that back in July or back in August. Yes, July, pardon me. The dates are kind of mushing around in my head. So that's kind of the big 10,000 foot view of what we were able to uncover. But the phones thing was a particular salience.
Yeah, it's a big problem for Matt Gaetz if the feds got his phone and that went in to get cleared, obviously, through a judge, that kind of surveillance. Mark, this story has really accelerated with the reporting of the New York Times and your reporting in Politico. I don't know if you'll answer this question, but I'm going to ask it. Does your reporting reflect that Matt Gaetz may have a legal criminal problem? Or does your reporting at this point reflect a lot of stuff around him that the feds are looking at, but that he may not be in things that are chargeable?
Well, I'm going to dodge this a bit. It depends on how you define problem, right? I mean, when the federal government is seizing your phone, you got a problem. When your allies are saying, hey, yeah, maybe he had sex with her, but it was when she was 18 and a half. You know, when you're measuring people's ages in fractions, you got a problem. Now, is he going to be indicted? That's a whole other matter. That the teen or the former teen who's now 21, the question is, what has she said to the federal government, if anything, and what evidence is there that she can back up or shed more light on? And then obviously there's the Joel Greenberg matter, but he might have some problems as a witness against Gaetz. Specifically, this is a guy who, according to the indictment, not only had sex with a 17-year-old, but falsely smeared her as a pedophile. Is that the kind of guy you want as a star witness in your case against another guy who's accused of having sex with a minor, potentially?
Joan, take a listen to Republican Steve Scalise on all of this.
You know, we've heard a lot of stories. I mean, obviously I've read the media reports, but there's been nothing that we've seen yet from the Department of Justice. If something's going on, obviously we'll find out about it. You know, right now it's hard to speculate on rumors, but you know, if something really formal happened from justice, we would of course react and take action.
Joan?
Well, seizing his phone is a little bit formal. I mean, that's really, as Mark said, never a good sign. And you know, I do get the problems with Greenberg as a star witness against Gaetz, but it's still very intriguing that what the Times reported, that he is cooperating. And his lawyer had a weird comment in the Times story, something like, I'm sure Matt Gaetz is not going to be very comfortable today. So that was a little bit of a shot across the bow. No real idea what it means. It's really not legal terminology. But it's not like they're clearly sticking together. And there are a lot of people involved with this. So, there are a lot of witnesses, frankly, and I think we're going to learn a lot more.
And Joan, what do you think of something we've touched on, which is that Matt Gaetz rose to prominence chiefly through Fox News and being a very loud Donald Trump supporter, and he's not getting much quarter or help from either of those parts of the right-wing movement right now?
No, not Fox, not Trump, and not Ron DeSantis, who he was very close to during DeSantis' campaigns. He won't talk about him either. Kevin McCarthy won't talk about him. So a lot of former allies are not there for him, and that to me is another. Again, we have to consider him innocent. These are tea leaves. These are not legal facts. But when your friends start not commenting on you, Donald Trump wouldn't even see him. People are hearing bad things. People are hearing more things than I'm hearing. So, I don't think it looks good for him. But that's probably a little bit of wishful thinking because, I like to believe in karma, and his shouldn't be good.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I mean, we every time we report the case, we're very clear about he's denied all allegations. He hasn't been indicted with anything. As to the point you raised about Trump won't even talk to him, I mean, let's be clear, Joan. It's not like Trump's busy.
No, he's not. I mean, I could probably go see him.
He could take a meeting in Florida.
Sure. So why he couldn't find time for poor Matt, I don't know. But it's not good. It's not a good thing.
Mark?
Important to point out that a number of people in Trump's orbit have on the record denied that. I don't want to throw shade on the reporter or the report, but I think we have to remember this about a lot of the people who surrounded the president, both in the White House, or the former president, Donald Trump, in the White House, and his campaign were vipers. In fact, there was even a book called Team of Vipers, written by one of the staffers about how they all stab each other in the back. And Matt Gaetz has Donald Trump's cell phone. Donald Trump takes Matt Gaetz's call. When Matt Gaetz wanted to have a pardon for Roger Stone, he went over the heads of the White House staff and he talked to the president directly about it. Matt Gaetz is not going to White House staff, former White House staff, and Trump staff to get an appointment with Donald Trump. If he wants an appointment with Donald Trump, he'll call him up, and if Trump wants to see him, he'll take it. So I find it doubtful that Gaetz had asked the White House staff for these pardons, considering that dynamic. And also, I find it doubtful he went to the Mar-a-Lago staff, or whatever you called it, and said, hey, you people who hate me, can you help me go see the president? Don't get me wrong, I think Gaetz realizes that he's a bit toxic right now. And so he's not going to go to the
briefly,
president
Mark,
and be hey, let's meet,
I mean, briefly, Mark, it sounds like, shade or not, it sounds like you are questioning the premise of some of those reports that put their stock, including the New York Times, on the pardons in staff-level conversations, because you're saying in your reporting that's not the nature of the relationship between these two individuals?
I think a better way to say it is I'm gravely doubting the honesty of the anonymous sources with people who hate Matt Gaetz.